Today on the Chat and Chew Show,
these ladies found their husbands, like you said, Roxy, online. Not just a good guy, not like a guy I can hang out with. They're gonna spend the rest of their lives with them. That was amazing.
Right.
Hey, it's Karla, aka Home Cook K. So when I started eating meat again a few years ago, I wasn't really impressed with chicken. But once I found today's recipe, which is full of flavor, it became a fave.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Chat and Chew Show. We are super thrilled that you are with us through Zoom. Oh my gosh. Woo-hoo! Can you guys believe we are still here?
Right.
Well, my name is Betty.
I'm Roxanne.
And we are just, again, so excited. We have been gone for a few months, one in due because we took our summer break, and now we're in season 2. But you guys, we're in a pandemic. And so this is the way that we still can chat and just have a good time. As you guys know, the Chat and Chew Show is designed to empower you to do relationships better. And everybody is in a relationship. Don't let the word relationship make you think just a romantic relationship. Hey, look, we are all mothers, brothers, what else?
Grubhub users.
Better be nice to that Grubhub. School teachers.
Oh, school teachers. Yes, God bless you.
Oh, God bless you, please. Healthcare workers. Oh, my. We appreciate you so much. But again, we want to empower you to do relationships better. You don't have to live life in isolation. And sometimes we do because it's hard to get along with people. I mean, the people you love, you can also struggle in a relationship. So we want to give you tools that you can be able to use in real life all around you. Now, if you watched the show in the past, you know it's usually just me and Roxy, and then we got our producer behind the camera. But today, we got some special guests with us that we're excited about. So let me introduce to most of you and reintroduce our chat producer, and that is Miss Vanessa.
Hey, everyone.
So, Vanessa, what have you been doing?
Trying to survive the pandemic, successfully doing so. Praise God.
Yeah.
Like
now you have children at home.
I do.
How's that
going?
A
13-year-old and a 10-year-old, so 8th grade and 5th grade.
Wow.
We've been balancing. The kids have adjusted pretty well to online schooling, and I'm working from home full-time, telework.
Yeah. Crazy. So we got another person who's with us who actually is the newest member of our team, and that is Miss Karla, aka Home Cook.
And she's coming into place.
And she's going to be taking over where Roxanne left off, and that is doing the food segment. So we're going to talk to her in a couple moments. But this is what I wanted to know. Again, the show is about relationships and trying to do them better and all. And Roxy, when you told me, and I'm going to be real honest, that I don't want to cook all the time. And I said, no. And she's like, I'd rather just eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So Roxy, I want to just know, and just to let our folks know, why did you decide you don't want to do this anymore?
Actually, what's funny? I do enjoy cooking. Like, that wasn't fake, but I like cooking, what I like to eat. And sometimes it's just the same thing like every other day. So, thinking of new recipes and all of that, it's one of those things where I feel like you have to be passionate about it to really do that. And so I'm like, this could be better. Like, this segment could be better with someone who's more passionate about it. Right. So it's like, this is good, but it could be great. Right. So if someone else is able to do it, who really is passionate about it, then why not? Let's do that.
Yeah. So that brings us to Karla. Karla, will you say hi to everybody?
Hi, everyone.
So Karla, you were recommended to us from Roxanne, and Roxanne was like, Betty, I assure you, she's passionate about it. She can do it. And I'm like, Roxy, we've been having so many changes in life. Why? And so I've had the privilege of being able to edit, some of the segments already. And I'm like, man, this girl is good. So let me find out from you, Karla, when did you start the whole cooking? I know you call yourself a home cook, but when did it become a passion?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and I grew up in a very health conscious household. So my mother's a registered dietitian. My father is very active and still fit at 63. So we grew up like knowing good food and eating healthy food. And as I developed and grew up, moved out on my own in my 20s, really had to start cooking on my own, right? Because budget wise, I couldn't afford to eat out as some of my peers did. And I always had dietary restrictions, if you will. I was a pescatarian, I was a vegan, I was vegetarian, right? And you can't always get that at a restaurant. Sometimes you have to make it yourself. So a lot of exploration there. Then I lived abroad and had to cook for myself if I wanted some foods that I was used to. But I'd say in the last few years is when I had downtime, more time to breathe. I wasn't volunteering. I wasn't in school anymore. I could really start to explore recipes. And that's when the passion really grew.
Okay. Now, I love food. I watch Food Network all day long if I could. I live in the house of boys, and so I have to watch like the Avengers and the sports or whatever. But I would watch Food Network all day long. But here's the thing, I cannot cook. And when I try something, it's always going to be the same little spaghetti or tacos. At one point, I was doing like roasted vegetables, but I'm like, this is too much work. I might as well just like Grubhub, right? Or something like that. So do you cook every day? Karla?
I cook most days, yeah. So at least 5 times a week, 3 meals a day.
Wow. Yeah. Vanessa, do you cook?
Girl, not every day.
Okay.
No, sis. More power to you. That's amazing.
It is.
So, what's your address?
Tell everybody what your address is. Roxy, how about you?
I cook. I do once a week because it's like it's me, right? So it's like I for some reason I'm still like a big portion cooker.
Mm-hmm.
I'll cook a meal and it'll last me for 5 days. Which is not always a good thing, but yeah, that's what I end up doing.
Yeah. So interesting because this show is called the Chat and Chew Show. And one thing that, all of us know to be true, that food in culture whenever we have any kind of gathering, it's around food.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to be able to provide for folks, some recipes or some dishes that they can make as they're working on their relationship. You can just do that around food. You just grab some hamburgers or whatever, your specialty is. So Karla, you cook pretty much every day. What would you say is one of your favorite things to make, or one of your recipes that you enjoy making?
Well, my favorite thing to make, I don't really follow a recipe, is something you name, tacos. I love meat tacos. I love Tex-Mex food, like, a lot of us do. So tacos, shrimp tacos, fish tacos, ground turkey tacos. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm super impressed, Karla, that you are able to do this and that you're going to be a part of the Chat and Chew show. It's going to be so exciting. Like I said, there are some recipes I've edited already that I've seen some things that she's done, and it's going to be so, so good. So you guys, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about one of our top episodes that I think shocked us in the content of the episode, but also it was very hopeful to hear what was happening in the lives of these ladies. So hang on for this next segment.
A little bit better. Now, a delicious word. Let's chew.
Hey, it's Karla, aka Home Cook K. So when I started eating meat again a few years ago, I wasn't really impressed with chicken. But once I found today's recipe, which is full of flavor, it became a fave. So the great news is that this recipe is also Whole30 and paleo compliant for those adhering to the diets. So for your ingredients, you'll need chicken. I use thighs, but you can use drumsticks. An onion, 3 carrots, 3 stalks of celery, chicken broth, coconut aminos, and olive oil. For your spices, you'll need 1 tablespoon of dried onion, half a tablespoon of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of thyme, 1 teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of allspice, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and half a teaspoon of nutmeg. In a large bowl, you want to combine all of your spices along with 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of coconut aminos. You can add broth here, but you really don't need to. Once everything is in the bowl, stir it until it's combined. Once your chicken is prepped, place it into the bowl. I used my hands to massage marinade to make sure I get all the flavor. Once the chicken is coated, cover the bowl and stick it in the fridge for a few hours. When ready, pull the chicken out of the fridge and preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Prep your carrots, onion, and celery and chop them into sizable slices about 2 inches long. Place your chopped veggies on the bottom of a large rimmed baking dish. Next, add a cup of chicken broth. Place the marinated chicken on top of the veggies and put it in the oven for 40 minutes. At the 20-minute mark, go ahead and flip it over. Once the chicken is baked, you'll have a delicious, flavorful chicken that can be paired with rice or eaten solo with the veggies. If you want to add a starch to this dish, you can add red potatoes in when you cook the other veggies. If you want to add sweetness to the marinade, add 2 tablespoons of honey. Hope you enjoy.
And welcome back. It's so good to see you guys. It's been a month. So wasn't that good?
That was really good. That chicken, yes.
Again, get to our house so we can eat that stuff. But so before we went on break, and we're in season 2, guys, we have a whole season 2 now. But before we went on break, we actually spoke to Ashley, Corinne, and
Jamel.
Thank you, Vanessa. And we had a great conversation with them about online dating. And so these are 3 women who found their husbands, not a good guy, but their husbands online. And so I think at the time we spoke to them, Corinne had not yet gotten married. Is that correct?
Yeah, she was engaged at the time.
And so you guys will be happy to know Corinne got married during the pandemic and they're now happily married as well. So we have 3 married ladies. And today we're just going to look back at that episode. Well, it was a 2-part episode, actually. And we're going to look back and talk about what were some of the highlights from that. Because guess what? In our next week's episode, actually live this Friday, but airing next week, we're going to talk to their husbands. So pay attention to that. You can figure out who guys you're on.
Yeah. So let me say, these ladies found their husbands, like you said, Roxy, online. Not just a good guy, not like a guy I can hang out with. They're gonna spend the rest of their lives with them. That was amazing.
Right.
I was blown away by all of it.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Before we go into some of the segments, I'm so curious, Roxy, because I know you had like horror dating stories online. When you were listening to them, I mean, be honest, were you thinking like, good for y'all? What was you thinking?
Oh, that's nice.
Right.
All right.
I was listening and I was like, oh, that's where I went wrong. Like, because if you remember, they had some rules that were like, really, okay, if you can't spell correctly, like, if you don't know how to type, then we can't talk anymore. And they really didn't give a lot of chances for that first impression. Kind of got rid of guys like quickly based off of like how well can you put together a sentence.
Wow.
Simple, but it's like, yeah, that's kind of true. You know, we ignore those little things, and then when the person shows up in a whole Arab outfit, then you're like, well,
and they're not Arab.
They're like from Cameroon, and you're like, you're like, oh, I could have put that together from your wedding. So, yeah. So I was taking notes, actually.
Okay. How about you, Vanessa? I know you are behind the camera, and we can hear sometimes you piping in, but what are you thinking?
Along similar lines as Roxy, honestly, because I was I think the thing that stuck out to me most was that these ladies went in already knowing what they wanted out of it. That was something that really hit home for me, because I think formerly for me, before, I had any sense about really what I wanted, I was online dating. And that's where you go wrong, because you're open to anything. You allow anything in. But the difference here was that they went on there and they were like, even Ashley, when she spoke, she mentioned that she didn't go on there with the thought of, oh, I want to be married. But she went on there just saying, oh, let me just see what happened. But even in that stance, she still knew what she could deal with and what she could not deal with. Mm-hmm. And so it allowed her to weed out the duds a little bit faster than somebody like me, who was going on there in the past with no direction at all. And so that is important. And that's what I kind of was like taking notes about on there. Like, you really just need to know why you're on there in the first place, what you want. And it'll help you to not waste your time.
Mm-hmm. I was sitting there thinking, like, really? I don't know. I don't know how I was feeling about it. Because at one point, it felt like where your standards too high. Mm-hmm. Where the ladies' standards too high, you can't put a sentence together. Is that hugely important? I guess it is important.
It's
but
very, 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 very important.
You don't want anybody to be like, "What's up, girl?"
No, you can say "What's up, girl." You can say "What's up, girl," but when you start to make full sentences, I need that sentence structure to be intact. I'm sorry.
That's so funny.
I'm so sorry. That's just, I agreed with, I think Ashley said that again. I agreed with her 100% on that, because here's the thing. This is your first impression. So if this is how you're willing to show yourself to me from the beginning, okay, that means that's the best foot that you have, and you're taking that foot and putting it forward. Okay. So if this is the best it's going to get, we're going to be in trouble. It's just not going to work out.
Yeah. So. I think another thing I was sitting there thinking, and I probably even said it too, is that I felt like, because my training has been, you wait for the guy to choose you. And it felt like they had guys lined up and they were like, that's what it felt like to me.
I know all of you guys are Christ followers. And so it feels, and we've been taught as Christians that you're supposed to wait to be chosen. Mm-hmm. And it feels like to me, and you guys can speak to this, that you decided, I'm going to step out there and do the choosing. Mm-hmm. So how do you reconcile this idea, or maybe you didn't even believe that, or maybe you weren't taught that?
I don't know, but I was just trying to grapple with this idea of you just not sitting there waiting and then someone chooses you. But you guys, I've been married 31 years, so I don't even know what it's like now.
But Daddy, it done changed. No,
it has changed, because women are more forward in their thinking about relationships. I mean, they are, when I grew up, or when I was out there, you didn't ask a guy out unless you were like a fresh type of woman. You kind of waited.
Fresh.
She fresh. She fresh. What they say now, you thirsty, right? So, but I guess the rules have changed. So that's what I was sitting there thinking, just like, dang, whew, okay.
Here's the thing, and I think they talked about this too. I think Jamel talked about it, and this was probably in part 2, where she said setting up a profile or going online doesn't mean that you're making the first move or you're doing the pursuing. Yeah. It just means like you're putting yourself out there, and the guy still has to then show interest in you. Once the contact is made, you're just saying hello. Like if you're walking down the street and a guy comes up to you and says hello, you're going to speak back. If you're a single woman and you're looking to have a relationship with a man, you're going to say hello back. So same thing goes for online dating. If you're online, you have a profile and, you put yourself out there, it's for conversation. So it's not to be looked at as, oh, you're fresh or you're a different kind of woman if you have an online profile. It's just like, here I am, but I fully expect you as the man to still pursue me and show me that your interest is there for me. And I think that's the thought that deter a lot of women from going online, at least old-fashioned, old-fashioned thoughts type women to go online and set up a profile to meet somebody. It's getting harder to meet people, especially with the situation like we're in right now. You're not going to meet somebody on the streets because nobody's on the streets.
So if you have to, like dating him, like you gotta build him and help him to be who you see him to be, then he's not the one for you, kind of thing. And so for me, it was separating those parts of me that I feel like are God-given, and separating that out and not letting that bleed into relationships, because I don't need a project, I need a partner to help me. So so it just, that was one of the things. And one of the other things is too, on those profiles, they usually ask you a series of questions.
There's nothing wrong with having a certain level of standards. I mean, it shouldn't be impossible. I'm not condoning that, but I've learned some hard lessons settling. So I'm unwilling to settle in this area anymore in life. And I don't want to encourage anyone to settle, but also don't have outrageous expectations, because any expectations that you're trying to impose on your potential partner, you should also be able to meet. And that goes for everything. Mental capacity, financial success, any type of anything that you're putting on him, you should also be willing to be able and capable of meeting those same expectations. You shouldn't be a dud out here looking for a savior. That's Jesus. So let's just get that out there.
Okay.
That's the truth.
Because I went through that phase where I was like crying at night because I'm like, I don't want to be alone anymore. But I didn't just want anything, and that's what God had to show me. Like right now, because you're focusing on this moment in your life, you're not looking at what is to come or what can come. You're only focusing on this. You're making it so much bigger than it needs to be. It's supposed to be a time where you're like being developed, right? And you're being prepared for your husband, because if you're jacked up, you're gonna destroy that man. You know what I mean? And you need to make sure you're not in that headspace before you even try it. And then once you do, like, you gotta know what it is that you're looking for. And if you're not sure, pause.
You got like 5 guys pursuing you. How do you know which one, other than sentence structure? No.
Well, there's a lot that helps you with the online dating apps, because I've like profiles. What do they have on their profiles? Some guys will post a picture that will just let you know this is not for you, Vanessa. Keep it moving.
I think another thing that I think is very interesting, and our listeners probably find very interesting, is that these ladies, like we said earlier, they chose someone, they started dating them, and then they actually got married.
Right.
Found their husbands from an online, I don't know what it's called, an app? What do you call it? Website. And 2 of them are married and 1 person is engaged. And I just think it is fascinating, because the thought is there aren't really good men out there, but apparently there are some good men. So if you are doing a search, this sounds so funny, you're doing a search, because I come from a generation, you didn't go online. You're like, do you know somebody? And then they introduce you to their uncle's cousin, nephew, friend who live around the corner. That's how you met people. Or you met someone at work, or
they say that's still the number one way, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that you're introduced through a friend.
Really?
So we did this whole online dating show, in fact, 2-part series, to help people think through, if you want to date and if you want to be married, there are other options. And one of them we discussed clearly was online dating. I know there's some horror stories that people have had, but these stories that we heard from Ashley, Jamel, and Corinne, that they were success stories. And so, again, we hear all the horror stories, but good things can come out of this too. So the online dating, that's why we did the show. So Vanessa, before we say goodbye to all of our friends, all of our thousands of
yes, our thousands of followers,
and viewers,
we see y'all out there. We see y'all there watching back.
Click and subscribe. That's how we know, right?
Yes.
But we're going to be doing something really special this Friday. The Chat and Chew show hasn't done anything like this before. So, Vanessa, you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So, everyone, this Friday coming up, we are going to be having a virtual dinner party. Yay! So the Chat and Chew Show is going to be hosting a virtual dinner party this Friday, September 18th, 7 p.m. via Facebook Live. And our special guest for this show, drum roll please, we are going to have the husbands of these ladies that we had on the episode we were just discussing today come on to share their insights about their experience with online dating and how they chose their wives, the ladies that we spoke to last time. So their names are Vic, Johnny, and Brandon. So we'll be talking to those three gentlemen on Friday the 18th at 7 p.m. via Facebook Live. So don't miss it.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Yes.
I don't know if they read the profile.
Oh.
Yes, that's a good question. That's a really good question.
Yep. So it's going to be interesting because we got the ladies' point of view in the first two episodes. And before the pandemic, we wanted to sit down with the guys.
Yeah.
So this is a way that we can sit down with them and just kind of hear their sides of the story, which, you get one side of the story. You're like, is that really how it went? And then you hear both sides of the story. You can put it together and usually get what really happened. So, again, good. So
let me just make one recommendation to everyone. If you haven't, if you want to catch up or at least be aware of everything that we'll be laughing about on Friday, just take a look at the part 1, part 2 episodes of the online dating. I don't remember the episode numbers, but it's all on our YouTube channel. So if you want to just look at the ladies' episodes, and then you'll be prepared for Friday's episode.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast too. So cool. We'd love to hear from you. And so connect with us. I'd love to hear some of your questions. We're just starting season 2. We have a big segment that's called Ask the Coach. If you have a question about relationships, she's a professional family counselor. So if you have questions and all that, submit your questions and we'll try to get them answered. Again, I'm Betty.
I'm Roxanne.
And we got Vanessa, our producer. And thank you always for hanging with us here at the Chat and Chew Show. And we see you next time.
Bye. This show was brought to you by the Chat and Chew Company. Music by Elwood Jones. Lyrics by Roxanne. Bring a Chat and Chew live event to your organization. Contact us at chatandchewshow@gmail.com.